Welcome to United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America on WSGW. Now, here is your host, Kareem Bowen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this 2026 edition, first edition of United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. I am so glad to be with you guys yet another year. I didn't get canceled. We're back for another season, and I'm excited to be with you all today, continually having these very enriching conversations on race in America. Today, I am by myself. My producer, Noor, my co-host, Mark Bassett, are with me on today. But I have a treat for those of you out there today. Someone else. We're going to have some very good conversation. There's a lot that has been going on over the past month. And, you know, as we've been somewhat on hiatus here, just kind of enjoying taking time off for family, for relaxation. Many of you didn't know, but I took a trip to Israel during the course of that time. And we'll talk a little bit about all of those things as we move forward. But it has been a very exciting 2025. I'm really excited about what is to come in 2026 as we forge forward. I want to give a shout out to everyone who continually tunes in and makes this show what it is. I get so many conversations. For a long time, we didn't think anybody was even paying attention to us. But we find that there's a lot of people that are tuning in, especially as we post it on our platforms via social media, also on the places where you get your podcasts. If it's iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, we are on all of those platforms as well. So go out there, find it, find United Shades of Gray. Or you can put in Kareem Bowen, it'll come up there as well. So we want to thank you guys. This is a new year. So happy new year. Happy to you. Hopefully you are ready, set, go, ready to make some great things happen in 2026. Regardless of how you ended the year last year, the great thing about a new year is that we have an opportunity to do this thing all over again. All right, so I'm going to get in. Today we're going to set the stage for some conversations that are going to take place. As I said, while we were on break, a lot has happened in the world. A lot has happened in this country. So many things that we have going on. There is a local election to fill a state Senate seat that was exited by our U.S. Congresswoman now, Kristen McDonald-Rivet. That has become very contentious and in many ways very nasty. So I'm going to get right into the thick of things, no longer delay, but I want to say Happy New Year once again to all of you who are listening to us on WSGW 100.5 FM and 790 AM and a simulcast. We now, if you have not paid attention, we are no longer Alpha Media, the new name. We have new ownership, Connoisseur Media. So we are now connoisseurs of this space of media and entertainment. We certainly thank you guys for your continued listenership. We're going to bring into the studio a very dear friend. He's been here before. Every time he comes, we have great conversation. And so today, I'm excited about having him here today because we're going to get into it like we ought to. We're going to mix some things up and get into this conversation. I want you all once again to welcome to the stage Bishop Hurley Coleman Jr. How you doing, Bishop?
I'm doing well. How are you, Brother Green?
I am doing really well. I want to say this, Bishop, because many people may not know this, but 2025 was a big year for you. Not just as a pastor, but you stepped in deep into the other waters. You've always been an extraordinary singer. You have always been the one who can bring the church down when you sing. But this year, you went crazy viral for singing, for being able to just lead people into worship, and you just let the Lord use you. So I want to say congratulations on that. I'm sure we'll be hearing even more from you coming forward. What's going on, Bishop?
Well, you mentioned that, and I was talking with someone just the other day, and they were talking about it, and I still have not really grasped all of it. It was a moment that I really believe that was God orchestrated, God ordained, and I was with the national meeting of the National Church of God in Christ, the installation and inauguration of our national officers, and I was called upon to be the psalmist. I sung twice, and like you say, God just took it into an extraordinary level. And I got out of the service, and I had a message from my son was there with me, but I got a message from on my cell phone, and it said my daughter, Dr. Coleman, Natoya Coleman, said, "Dad, you need to look at this. You just went viral." And I said, "Oh my God, do I need to get a shot? Is it something I can get cured from?" And so she said, "No, no, 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 no." And hundreds of thousands of people were watching. I mean, it was pretty amazing.
It
Pretty
was.
amazing.
Bishop, I know you racked up likes from my IP address because I watched it over and over and over again. It was one of those moments that I was really proud to be able to see you uh, do what you do every Sunday in your local church on a national platform, and so global platform. Let me correct that.
It was global, yeah.
Yeah, so it was very exciting. It was a lot of fun. But I got you here today because this is the beginning of a new year. We have been so busy, uh, you know, putting out fires and taking care of the needs and the issues that have presented themselves to the village. And I say starting back, I guess it would have been not November with the secession of the SNAP benefits. And you were one of those key individuals from the community collective that have come together to really make sure that we are meeting the needs for food and security in our community. And even when those benefits were restored, we said, hey, since we've come together, why don't we continue to address those needs because they are so pervasive in Saginaw, which is a food desert. So how did your year end out? Let's talk. Let's start.
Well, I think that by you bringing that one particular point up, it turns a light on the whole year,
Yeah.
because what happened in the middle of the year began in the beginning of the year. um, I can't stress enough how people have to really pay attention to the 2024 election. The 2024 election was a statement. It was a statement of what was to come. What we're seeing now was actually forecasted. It wasn't hidden. It was very publicly stated that these are the things we're going to do if we get in office. And it was so dramatic and so blatantly done that people just did not want to believe that it was going to be the case. And that's one of the things you hear constantly about this administration, that this is one of the most transparent administrations we've ever seen. And it's absolutely the case. And the thought is, the logic is, if I tell you I'm going to do this, then why are you surprised? And if I'm telling you I'm going to do it and I actually do it and get away with it, why do you think it's not something I can do?
You know,
So,
Bishop, I want to interject really quick for just 1 second because what you're talking about, even 2024, when it was coming around, all of 2022, all of 2023, we were sounding the alarm that Project
2025,
2025 was a real thing. There was a real
really,
agenda by a large base in the conservative department that had been working on this agenda.
yeah,
And everyone said that we were crazy. Everyone said that it would never happen. And a part of myself, I'm going to say this: we've seen him be very, and when we say him, we're talking about number 47, be very direct in how he operates.
yep,
But there was a part of me that said, okay, there's no way because you got to get Congress on board, right?
right,
So
right.
even though I'm sounding the alarm, even though there was an element of, hey, we got to be prepared, there was still a part of me that said a lot of this causes for folks to act in a way that we're much too humane, where we have become, too aware and too in tune to each other, and we've gotten over some of those hurdles to ever go there. Congress would never let this happen, but
Because we thought that the guardrails were in place.
yeah,
That was the impression that the guardrails were in place, but we didn't pay attention to the fact that in the previous administration, in the previous election, I mean, in his previous administration, he did change the Supreme Court.
yes,
They did redirect the voting processes. So Ralph Warnock Senator Ralph Warnock said this recently in a conversation. He said, as upset as I may be about the decisions that I made in the Oval Office, I have to remember that 75 million people agreed with that.
That's right.
And they asked for that and they supported that. So here we are now in this situation. So when the changes happened and all the cuts were happening all over the place and programs were being demolished and destroyed and programs that were institutionally supportive of people that were taken away without really good reason, then all of a sudden we recognize, oh my God, what was already bad is about to get worse. And there was no plan to counter that. So here in Saginaw, when it became apparent that people who are in SNAP benefits and other programs of that nature were going to be held hostage for a political purpose, then there was a group of people that said, "Well, we cannot let that happen."
Yeah.
The beauty of it is that it was a real coming together,
Yes.
and it shows us that we can do this.
Well, Bishop,
We can do this.
that is exactly correct. It's funny because I think that sometimes we need a reason to unite, right? We need a gathering cry or a rallying cry. And we saw this nationally with 9/11, right? We were attacked on domestic soil by these terrorists, and we were not going to stand for it. And the United States of America, all of the states, all of the people, its people, for a period of time were united one
United.
under
Yeah.
one banner,
Mhm.
and we said, hey, we're going to go for it as a country. But this thing of race, we're talking today, we're stepping into this new year. But what we understand to be a social constructive race, is so powerful and has been so powerful in this country, that even a unified movement like what we saw from 9/11 was very short lived. We now stand, as it would be, in what I would consider the most divided time of our lifetimes, and some would say since the civil rights movement. I'm almost saying that it may be worse than, because, and I'm going to say this, Bishop, and I'm going to throw it to you, and I'm going to let you just kind of respond to what I'm getting ready to say. I think the election of President Barack Hussein Obama scared a lot of folks, because for the first time in history, black folks by percentage outvoted all other bases. And so we see the response, that when we are able to come together, that we are such a vital portion of the voting uh, conglomerate, that we make an impact. And I think that everything, even this is 2026. He's been out of office an entire two administrations, and his name is yet being rung through the halls and the annals of our great institutions. I think that scared the bejeebas out of a lot of people, and now his election and his presidency, which he still is one of the highest rated president of any president in the country, scared a lot of folks, and so now they feel that there was a need for a reset. What say you, Bishop?
I think you gotta kind of dial down on what it means when you use the phrase that it scared a lot of people, because I'm convinced that this fear that we're seeing was always there. It was always there, but it was always kind of controlled because it looked like it'll never happen,
Absolutely.
right? So that when that did happen, and here's what's even more difficult for those who are really animated against President Obama's history, everything that he did. What really bothered them even further was not only did the black community, the African American community, melanated community come together and push to make this happen, but there were also
A coalition.
others, because the total number of votes that we can count in our own community is still not enough. But there
Absolutely.
were also others. Just the thought that other people would join in with this community to make this happen. That's where the fear was heightened, because how do you control people? How do you keep people from crossing the line, from staying in the flocks, from staying in the fold? How do you do that? You have to create enough fear for them to stay in line. So I'm convinced that what we're seeing now, this whole notion of taking our country back, and I hear that, I heard that so much, and I would ask people, who are you going to take it back from, and who and where are you going to take it to? You, you can't. How do you take a country back that you already have? You already have predominant leadership in every venue. You already have predominant value in every. You have more money than anybody, any other ethnicity. You have more property. You have more. You already have everything. You even have more control. So what is it? What is it? What the and the desire here is to make sure that we can let our people know that we know how to protect them. And so we got to have an enemy, and that enemy has got to be palpable, it's got to be close, and you got to feel it. So I'm gonna just take this one particular point. The 6 battleground states that were supposed to change the outcome of the election or determine the outcome of the election. The population, the highest level of population was found in those urban clusters in those 6 battleground states, right?
Yeah.
Those urban clusters were the target of that campaign. How in the world is it possible? How in the world is it possible for all 6 of those states to fall without something else happening, right? And so the victory now, very close victory, that is now it's being called a mandate because we won every place where we weren't supposed to win. That is assuaging fear that says we're still in control, we still know how to do this. Don't worry, as long as you stay in line. Don't worry about what we're doing. Don't worry about what we're saying. Don't worry about what I have. Don't even pay attention to my lies. Just feel comfortable and be safe.
Okay, so Bishop, we're into this new year. Okay, it is 2026. A lot has been put into action. There's a lot that is being prepared to take place. As we look at this new year coming forward,
That's a late statement. When you say a lot of things are being prepared to take place, there are a lot of things that are taking place. It's
absolutely,
in motion.
absolutely. So a lot of things have been put in place. A lot is in motion, and there is yet a lot to be taken care of
Manifesting.
as we move forward. What is, in your opinion, and let's look at this from a national level, and we'll work this thing down to Main Street here. Okay, what is the most important thing that you think, as a community, that Black America needs to be looking at? Not just Black America, all of America needs to be concerned about.
Well, let me start with Black America
Okay.
because one of the reasons why there's such a drive to erase or eliminate the history of African Americans or Black America is because of the incredible role that Black America has played in the development of this country. Even during the period of enslavement, the farm implements that were created to make the work on the farms easier was created by those geniuses who were already in the field. And it goes on, it goes on, and it goes on. The culture was impacted by black people. The language was impacted. Public education is a result of efforts toward Black people. So if you erase that history, then if you stop people from knowing, because there's a lot of people that don't know that, right? So in today's environment, the best thing that Black people can do is to start owning ourselves, owning the integrity of our history, owning the integrity of our education, owning the integrity of our creation and creativity, and owning our faith. Owning if we cannot be talked out. You can't talk me out of being Black.
And Bishop, I think that that's important. Let's, we only got a couple minutes in this first segment, but what you just said is so vitally important. For a very long time, we have been getting pushed into this thing that we've got to get away from, this the blackness of who we are.
Yeah. Why you always got to talk about race?
Why do you have to talk about race? And I know that last year I said, as the vice chair on the Juneteenth committee in 2025, I said, why are we going to push away from this? Let's lean into this and let's be unapologetically black. When I see other nations and other nationalities and other races and ethnicities be able to celebrate who they are to the full, and it's not of issue to anyone, but it becomes problematic when we look to those African American descendants of slaves and their desire to be reconnected with their history, with their past, and to celebrate the idea of who we are, what we have accomplished to this great nation, as you stated, the impact that we've made. We got a minute. Why is it so vitally important right now, Bishop, for us to embrace those things?
It's important for three reasons in my mind. It's important because if you don't remember, if you don't know your history, you not only do you have to take the risk that you can't grow from it, but you lose it. You lose it. One of the greatest cultural machines or tools, devices that was used for the enslaved people was to cut off your language, change your name, cut off your history, separate you from people that you know. So if you don't pay attention to your history, you lose it. Secondly, if you don't pay attention to your history, you lose what you have now, the continuity of the nowness of us being together. And the third thing that's most important is you cripple your future because the people who are coming behind us, behind you and I, they don't have any idea what it was like to be us unless we tell them.
We're going to put a period right there. We'll come right back with more United Shades of Gray.
I'm sorry, I heard the music. I should have stopped.
You're listening to United Shades of Gray on WSGW.
This is Kareem, and we're back with more United Shades of Gray, conversations of race in America. And I'm here in studio. He's in his studio. I'm in my studio with Bishop Hurley Coleman Jr. We've been having a very interesting conversation about the importance of being able to express fully who we are as a people. And when I say who we are as a people, I'm talking about black folks. Many times people are like, why does there have to be a black edition or a black version? And it's because we need a space where we can express, where we can be open and honest, and where we can, in fact, be seen and both heard. Bishop, moving into this year, we talked about the things that we have seen. There were many people who said that this would never happen, that it was economic, it wasn't racial, all of the things that we've heard. I think now, as we look at where we are, it's kind of hard to not see the strong racial tone and bias that this administration has taken. Uh, Moving into this year, we started off talking from a national perspective, But there are some things that are happening here in the great state of Michigan. We have an election that is very, very important. And I want to make sure that we as a community, and I said this, I came out very strong and I made my opinion known in terms of where I was standing with this particular election. And sometimes you find yourself on different sides of the line. And I'm good with that this year because understanding what we've seen, Bishop, understanding what's taking place, what I've seen is that there's only one candidate with this next election that's coming up that understands what's happening in the community, understands what's at risk, understands how to fight, because you got to understand, you've got to have some understanding about what politics is and how to operate there.
Right.
So I talked about Dr. Pamela Pugh, who I've known for a very long time. She ran for this position before, and I did not vote for her. I say that openly, but I think in this season and in this time that this is the voice that we need fighting for us down in Lansing. So I just want to kind of jump into the importance and the fierceness of now.
The one thing about this particular race, and I want people to really understand how significant this is. The person who vacated this seat ran for a congressional seat after a very short time in this seat. It's a state senate seat. It's an extended term. Representative seats terms are shorter than Senate terms. So the person that ran for this seat, and when that person ran for this seat, I was one of the first ones that was introduced to her in our community, and I was introduced to her by Dr. Pamela Pugh. I didn't know anything about her, and I was really impressed, and I supported and worked in the campaign. I want people to know that I have worked in many campaigns down through the years with a lot of candidates, some who have won and some who have lost. But after the race is over, after the campaign is over, you need to get back to work, because politics is how you deliver services to people. Politics and governing is how you deliver service to people. And Coleman Young said this to me a long time ago. I met him. He said, Brother Coleman, you got to remember, in politics, there's no permanent friends, there's no permanent enemies, but there are permanent issues, right? So not long after that, there was this race after the election. There was this race for the congressional seat that filled now. Both those two persons, the sitting Congresswoman Rivette McDonald Rivette, and Dr. Pam Pugh were in the primary. I was very supportive of Dr. Pugh in the Pam primary. She didn't win the primary. I supported the Congresswoman in the race, because once the primary is over, then the party needs to come together. The people need to come together and run. That was it was over a year ago. That means that somehow the party decided to keep this city, keep our district without representation in Lansing for a whole year. Now, the person that won the congressional seat could have looked back and said, well, this person really ran well. Governor, why don't we just make this happen, because they really ran well and they're very recognized, and this is going to work. It should have happened, because in other situations, that's exactly what happens. There's a pecking order, right? In this instance, and I said this without having factual proof of it, but it appears as if there was a desire to do anything but fill this seat with the person who was the best qualified person. Well, now, Bishop, we're in the primary.
Bishop, I agree with a lot of the things that you say. I'm gonna push back a little bit. I don't know what because there is no facts, okay? Because I don't have facts, and we don't.
I said I didn't have any facts. It's just my belief.
But I think it's important to understand, and I want to understate that is your particular belief. I think
that is my belief.
Yeah, I think
I'm not held privately with anybody who will listen to me.
No, but I think that there are some other things that are also at play that are important, and that I really I don't really want to go down that road. But there's some things I think that exist.
Let me tell you the danger.
Maybe that was the reason But I also think that our governor, who has the responsibility to do this, this was a call that she had to also make, and I think it's important. There's been a lot of pressure on the other side to put that put it in motion, and I think that honestly, my opinion, one of the reasons why it was delayed was because of the atmosphere and the falling in love with an ideology that was presented by Donald Trump that seemed to be really taking toll and really getting a hold, especially in this bellwether county. Go ahead.
I want you to hold on to what you just said and consider this.
Yeah.
If that is the reason for delay, then what reason should we have to believe in this present moment that there would be the will to fight against that, because that inference or that threat is always there?
Well, because I think that the tides have also turned. I think that there is, to some degree, I think that there is a belief, and this is why I say that, Bishop. Before, we were the other, and I don't think people thought were not aware that they were a part of the other category as it relates to this administration, but have been given an opportunity to realize that yes, you one of the others as well. And so I think that from a political perspective, that may played into why we now see this election taking place versus
Here's why I have to tell you, I have to keep pushing back on that.
Okay.
And make this statement, because there are people who have not been involved in the political environment in the years that I've been involved, and at the levels that I've been involved, that would not know that there are powers to be when unified effort comes together. If the state decided, the leadership of the state decided to do something, it would make it happen, because it always does. All right. And in historic situations, we've seen it where this thing has been moved along, no matter what the opposition is. And in this instance, three things. The office was held open for over a year. There was no announcement of the opportunity to run. When the announcement was made, the first person to announce is the person that you mentioned, Dr. Pam Pugh. The organizational system did not embrace it, but stranded along until there was enough other candidates that could be brought up. Now, that's where the challenge comes in, because we have to look at this thing in as pragmatic a posture as we can and say, at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you what really got me. In the 2024 election, it was monumental for me. In that election, it was the first time there was an African American female who actually had a chance to win the presidency. In my lifetime, it was the first time an African American male actually had a chance to win a Senate seat from our community. It was the first time an African American female from Saginaw had actually run in competitive levels for a federal position. These things, at my age, to see this and know that all we had to do was just say, we're going to do this time, because all the other entities did it. There's a group of people in this country, in our state, who decided, because they didn't like something that one of the candidates said, they were not going to vote. They all held their vote. Why is it that our community should be criticized, should be castigated, simply because we decide that we want to be unified around something?
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this, Bishop. To the point that you're making, I 1000% I agree with the fact. And this has been a thing for me. No one should determine who our leaders are in our community but us. And to your point, the Democratic machine, the Republican machine, they both have candidates that they select. When I look at Amos O'Neill was never the political machine's choice. But he was able to work some things through, right? Why is it continually? This would be my question to the Democratic Party, because in my opinion, I don't see any different between what the Republicans and the Democrats are doing for our community. other than the manner in which they want to do what it is that they're doing. But in each case, we are always overlooked, and we are never the chosen selection. That is a problem. And now, even in this current election, the one that we're talking about, we see a situation in which the machine and party loyalists are not surrounding the candidate that this community says is the candidate that we would want. Now, and it's consistently been taking place. Now, there's a couple of things that we could ask ourselves. But the fact of the matter is, why does it seem that we are always on the outside of the circle?
Because we don't come to the point where we cannot be ignored.
How
Because
do
we
we do
don't
that? How do we do that? Get
we
to the
have to
point that we
we
can't be.
have to we have to we have to unashamedly, intentionally arm ourselves in a unified purpose and a unified stance around what we believe is important, right? Or who we believe is important, and then stand with that person. That means that even though there may be some of us who don't want to be with us, that will not overshine the number of us that stand together. And because my mother said this. My mother said this, that there's no me in unity. And she said, let me break this down. Unity is not me and you doing things. Unity is you and I tied together.
Yep.
All of us, if there was ever a point in time where a statement needs to be made, a dramatic push needs to happen, is in this moment when we need to arm ourselves with our choice, and stand with it.
And I don't disagree with you there. I think that we are now also seeing, it's interesting, um, in our community, Bishop, and I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna throw it out there, and if you decide to address it, address it. If not, then you don't have to. We've always had in our community where uh, there were organizations and people that would take out the smartest or the brightest or one that has some influence, and they would don them as, you are the exceptional one from your group, and you should be the standard. We've seen that happen so many times. We've seen people wanting, it's crazy, but when you steal a person's identity, you talked about why having your identity and understanding yourself and your language is important. So many of us in our community have moved into a place that we're Republicans for the purpose of feeling like we've arrived. And I'll say it that way, and I know it's going to offend some folks, but hey, we're going to say it anyway. How do we begin to really address the needs of the fragmented vote that sometimes shows up in those cases? And for the most part, we as a black people, as a people, we work together. We understand. Even in this election, they want to say all of these black men voted for Donald Trump and all of these other things. But how do we, as a people, bring home those individuals and to help them to understand that I'm black and I'm proud? I'm gonna say it loud. There is nothing wrong with voting identity politics because we see it happening all over the nation, right?
It
There,
always happens when it's in other circumstances. It always happens. I'll tell you this. This is one of the great challenges that I have because I've watched it down through the years. This is not what we're seeing in Saginaw now is not new. It is a tool. It is a device that goes all the way back. And somebody gonna really hate this. Okay, it goes all the way back to the plantation, where you can get the people who worked in the field and make them and put them in opposition to the people that worked in the house. And then there are certain levels of status within the house, within the big house. So certain people had certain rights and certain privileges and others didn't. And so that divide and conquer, it's a tool that has always been used. And the only way it's overcome is that enough of the people who feel the need to stand together actually come together. I saw this happen when in this particular race that we're talking about, before it was really public that there was another candidate that was being chosen. People who were in leadership, people who could have stood forth, decided, I'm gonna stay out of this and watch it happen. I'm just stay out of the way and watch it and work. And I'm just gonna let it happen. Then all of a sudden, well, I think it's important for me to make a stand. Now all of a sudden, because it's a different person, because somebody chose it, and you know, I
His
have been criticized.
Bishop, historically, those who are in office don't throw their support before a primary.
Well, in some cases, they have always done that.
In some cases,
Yeah, but for the
but
most part, especially when it's a very contentious uh, primary that affects their constituency. That's the part that affects their constituency, and their constituency has strong opinions about one or the other, maybe both, or maybe three, maybe four. Then it's prudent for that politician to stand in a place where they wait to hear what the voice of the people is and then support the voice of the people, not tell the people what their voice ought to be. Now, I saw that change in this environment.
wow. All right, Bishop, I want to say this, and we're going to close. We only got a little less than 5 minutes, and we're going to kind of turn the corner on this. But this is to the point of why race matters and why race is important, or why is race important? I'll say it like that. Why is race important? Kareem, people ask me, why do you always talk about race? Why is race important? I had an opportunity to go to the Holy Land. And when I was there, it was an absolutely amazing experience to go to the place where our Lord and Savior walked, to be in those spaces and places. But I'll tell you this, why race matters, or if race matters, in the entire time. And we were in Jerusalem, and we went to all of the places of Gaza and Capernaum and all of the places. And in every place, there was some depiction of who Christ was. In no place while I was there, in any of these places, was there an actual depiction of Christ being of what most would agree historically and geographically, what he would look like. And so, as we have this conversation, if race does not matter, why are the depictions of Christ, especially in this country, by popular religion, by popular faith leaders, never consistent with what we all understand and know to be true as the actual ethnicity of who Christ was?
Well, you now have created an opportunity for an entirely new program and an entirely exhaustive study of geography, demographics, and real recorded and documented history. Um, I'll tell you this when it comes to that, because in the 2024 election, there was a strong Christian element to the president campaign that really almost made it as if you don't vote in this direction, you can't be Christian. But then the results of it, the programs, the process of it, don't even look like the Bible. They're not on. They don't. If you take the red letters of the Bible and the Gospels, the words of Jesus, this doesn't look like Jesus, right? So why race matters is because race matters, and what it really matters to who it matters to. For the people who are nervous about what's going on now, race matters because their race is being somehow challenged. To us who are the targets, race matters to us because we're the targets because of our race. And race matters more importantly because if we don't come together as a race, because that's the construct that's there, we will not have what we need to have for ourselves.
You know, Bishop, I certainly want to thank you for that. It's important for us to understand as a community, as a nation. I mean, I really, when we hear the stories of Dr. King and it's January and everyone's preparing to, I guess, celebrate Dr. King, or are we celebrating Charlie? I don't know which one we're doing this year. But as our community prepares to celebrate the one and the only, not to be reduplicated, Dr. King, I'm reminded by his statement that he longs for that time for equality to take place. And we've said it a million different ways, and we've cut that a million ways. But the reality of it is, he longed for a time when people were not by the content of our skin, but the content of our character, not the color of our skin. He also longed for a time that we would recognize that regardless of what shade or hue or color we might be on the outside, that when we bleed, we all bleed red. That is what it means to be a real American. That's what it means to be common, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for your time and for being a part of this conversation, Bishop. I look forward to having you again in the future. For those of you out there in the social media stream, let's like, tag, and share this conversation with those around you. Voting is coming up. Your vote matters. So take care. God bless you all. Grace and peace.